Well, Mallrat Hobbyists, this is the OC Mallrat, and welcome to OCM Hobbies. In this video, we will be doing an unboxing and slight review of the new, as of October 2025, Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol Tyranid Assault Brood. 18 Citadel miniatures. Okay, so this is the new Combat Patrol at the tail end of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition that just released this late 2025. I don't know when this released. September, October, one of those. Okay, so this replaces the shitty Combat Patrol that's the old Combat Patrol for Tyranids that was essentially just the Tyranid half of the Ultimate Starter set. So you're thinking, for the price of a Combat Patrol, just add a couple bucks more, and you already have an Ultimate Starter set. Just trade the Space Marine side away. So there was no need to buy that one. That one was with the Psychophage and the 5 Barb Guns and the 20 Termagants and the Von Ryan's Leapers and the Winged Tyranid Prime. So this is the new one that was announced early this year, mid this year, and released in 2025. So let's check this thing out. Okay. So first, Combat Patrol, Tyranid, Tyranid Assault Brood. I think this is limited release. I'm not sure though if this is going to be the new Tyranid Combat Patrol moving forward. Okay, so let's see. The copyright for this should be copyright Games Workshop, blah. There should be, there you go. Copyright Games Workshop Limited 2025, brand spanking new. Okay. And now this Combat Patrol is a little bit weird because it contains a lot of unconventional Tyranid units, I guess. You have a Parasite of Mortrex, being the character for this box set, which by itself is already weird because normally you have previous Combat Patrols or battle forces or start collectors or spearheads usually had like a Hive Tyrant for one of them, a Brood Lord. What else? The Trigon? No. That was the one with the Brood Lord. The previous one had the Tyranid Prime, Tyranid Warrior. So this is the first time we have actually a named hero, epic hero. I mean, it's not really epic because you can have multiple. I mean, I guess he is an epic hero, but it's not really unique in the lore. Because the Tyranids can just reproduce the DNA, but yeah, it's a named character, the Parasite of Mortrex. Makes you think if you can. Normally, that's a bad move for a Combat Patrol because that means there's no reason to buy multiple of these since you cannot field more than one of these. But I'm not exactly sure as of 10th edition if this is an epic hero, which means you can only field one of them in an army, or just a normal character, in which case you can field 3. Okay. But Parasite of Mortrex, that's your warlord or your character. Now, other things, kinda high demand, is the new 2024-2025 Biovore kit. So the new Biovore kit is the crab one. Previous Tyranid Biovores have always looked like, I guess, a Tyranid warrior-sized organism with 2 legs and 2 arms. Well, the second edition had 2 spikes, but 2 arms, positioning itself, stabilizing itself, and then with a big cannon on the back. This is the first time we have the crab style Biovore where all the legs are like, there are no feet, there are no hoof feet, instead they're just spine leg thingies. Spore mines are a bit bigger than they were before. We'll check out the models later. Now, standard staple pack of any Tyranid army are always Genestealers, and these are the new 10th edition Tyranid Genestealers. They're the ones with the built-in extended carapaces on the back. Of course, Genestealers, plastic Genestealers are some of the oldest Games Workshop models conceptually. 1980, late 1980s had the blue plastic Genestealers from one of the original Space Hulk releases. Okay, I have a ton of those. And those were reproduced all the way up until 2004, I think, or 2003, when the Battle for Macragge, the starter set for 4th edition of Warhammer 40,000 came around with the first new re-release of plastic Genestealers. Now, those BFM Stealers were single piece, and then the multi-part kit came a year or two after, which had different heads for Acid Maw and the enhanced attack, enhanced senses, one of those extra attack thingies, those mutations that came along in 4th edition. Okay, so that was the Genestealer kit that existed back in those days, all the way up to just 2020, I believe 2024, when this new kit came around. Of course, in between there were plastic Genestealers from Space Hulk, but those were usually limited edition one-shots, like the one that came from Space Hulk, where you had the Genestealers crawling down walls and stuff. But for the most part, the 40k Genestealer kit remained the same, the BFM Stealers, until this kit. So this is the first time these guys have been in a sort of set. Okay, that's 10 Stealers. Already designed for their 32mm bases. And then finally, there is a squad of Tyrant Guard or Hive Guard. You can make them into either. So this is one of those mid 2010s Games Workshop kits, the dual kits, where you can either make Squad A or Squad B. In this case, you can either make them Tyrant Guard, or you can make them into Hive Guard. Okay, the first plastic Tyrant Guard we got. Okay, so, wow. 8 minutes in and we're about to open the box. Okay, but yeah, that's a little bit of the lore behind the units. I'm very well versed, since Tyranids is arguably my oldest army. Older than even Imperial Guard. If you guys watch the channel, you know I have an Imperial Guard army. But actually, my original army, my main army actually, is Tyranids. I got my first Tyranid stuff with the 6 Genestealer plastic box set and the 8 Termagant, or was that 6? Box set for 2nd edition of Warhammer 40k. Alright, so it's a heavy box. Bases, we'll deal with the sprues last as usual. Let's look at the manual first, and then look at the bases after, and then look at the sprues last. So give me scissors and blade. Okay, so this being Warhammer 40,000, Games Workshop's flagship game, this is a very good quality manual. Look, it's shiny, thick, glossy paper, colored, of course, not those black and white inserts you have for the specialist games. Okay, it's thick. It's pretty thick too. Okay, so let's look at what's inside. Okay, so inside, just guiding you. Colors, blue and green, mean there's different parts for those models. There should be, okay, 180mm base. That's for the Biovore. Wait, let's bring this a little bit up so that you guys can read it as much as possible. So that's a 180mm base for the Biovore, 350mm bases. That would be for the Hive Guard / Tyrant Guard. 140mm base for the Parasite. 10 32mm bases for the Genestealers, and 3 25mm bases for the Spore Mines. The Spruce, you should have 1A, that's the Parasite. Okay. One set of 3 Spruce B, which would be the Genestealers. You see the arms, the bodies, and then the legs and heads on the other. Okay. C would be the Hive Guard / Tyrant Guard over here. And then D are the Biovore sprues over here. Okay. Of course, the Biovore is also a dual kit. It can build either a Biovore or a Pyrovore. Okay. We'll talk about it later. Okay, so let's look at the guide. Okay. So, first few pages are how to assemble the Parasite. No real options much. Of course, it's an epic, or at least it's a unique character. Like Old One Eye. It's not really epic in lore. Clawed limbs, barb of Oppositor. Okay? Yeah, if you guys remember, this is the guy that if he kills something with of Oppositor in melee, you can spawn Ripper Swarms, which, by the way, are not included at all in this boxed set. So you will need at least a Termagant boxed set. Or do you still come with Hormagants or just a Term? I think Rippers only come with the Termagants now, not the Hormagants. No, I'm not sure though. I'm not sure. But you will definitely need the Termagant brood or 2, at least the box set, so that you have Ripper Swarms, because if this guy kills something, you can spawn Ripper Swarms. Okay. As of 10th ed, but that's always been the Parasite shtick ever since they introduced it back in, I believe, 6th edition or maybe even 5th edition. Okay. So you stick your torso to the tail. Okay, and then the head crest, the wings, the arms, and the tentacly things. Okay, so it's straightforward. Not much room for customization, although with some modeling skill you can change it somehow. Okay, I actually have a scratch built, well, it's heavily converted Parasite using an old Genestealer body. Okay, but I'll be happy to make this one. Okay, so wait. Give me a minute, guys. I need to I guess we'll just cut that out. I needed to kill the I'm boiling some water, but just leave it. It's cool. Okay, so there's your Parasite. Alright, now Combat Patrol Assembly, the Genestealers. These Genestealers, of course, in the past, originally only had their claws, which in an edition of in the third edition codex, I think. Okay, because early 3rd edition their claws counted as power weapons, but eventually they were turned into rending claws. So for the longest time they've had just rending claws. These are called claws and talons now. But somewhere in 4th edition, Genestealers were given the ability to exchange their not to exchange their claws, but to add a set of scything talons. Gave them an extra attack back then. Okay, so we'll see if that still holds, but it doesn't seem like the case. It seems like they just have the rending claws, bodies, okay, bodies, arms, heads. Now the heads can be changed. There is your normal head. Okay, they don't have the diversity of heads back in 4th edition, where they had an acid maw and what's the tuned attack or the extra attack one. But in this case, you have I get there's a phase that actually does look like an acid mob, but that looks more like a bioplasma head. The feeder tentacles, of course, are still here because GW will always have the tentacles because the first in-lore experience encounter that the Imperium had with Genestealers were on Imgarl, how do you pronounce that? And the Imgarl Stealers had tentacles around their mouth, so that's why they will always have this option. Okay, but I'm surprised they have other options as well. Okay, so the long tongue one, the spitty tongue one, and then the feeder tentacle one. Okay, now the carapace is already part of the extended carapace. The armor plates are already part of the body. It's not a choice not to put them in, I think. Okay. Stealers heads, see that? You have the feeder tentacles. Okay. Oh, the spitty head is only for one of the Stealers. Feeder tentacles, so they all have the feeder tentacle options, but only a few of them have the spitter option. That's a lot. That's very complicated. There's a lot of pages to make 10 Stealers. Okay, so that's the Genestealers. Next is the Tyrant Guard. Now, of course, you can field Tyrant Guard or Hive Guard. Now, of course, Hive Guard are an entirely different unit. They used to be, well, they're both elites. Yeah, they both were elites, but the Hive Guard or the shooty unit that can either have impaler cannons or, am I right? Impaler cannons or shock cannons. The shock cannons are the anti-vehicle ones. The impaler cannons or impaler guns are the one, or impaler launchers are the ones that do not need line of sight. Now, that's how they always have been. In 10th edition, that seems to be the case as well, which is why they're a little bit overcosted. But your mileage may vary depending on the edition that you're dealing with. Okay. Of course, your Tyrant Guard will also have different options in their armaments. So this should have parts to build Tyrant Guard armed with either Scything Talons and Rending Claws, or just Talons, Bone Swords and Lash Whips, or Crushing Claws. Okay, so we'll see that with the parts later once we check out the sprue. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so War Gear. Combat Pro, Impaler Cannon, yep, those are the long ones. Shock Cannons are the ones with the tubes and the spike. Bone, it's called the Bone Cleaver, not a Bone Sword, right? Bone Cleaver, Lash Whip, and Rending Claws. Scything Talons and Rending Claws. Crushing Claws. Okay, now you have 3 different head options, 3 different tail options, and 3 different pairs of legs. But that's because there are 3 of these guys. Okay, yeah, you guys see the weapons? Yeah, there are the weapons here. Okay, of course you can mix and match your Hive Guard weapons. Okay, they don't all have to be armed with the same weapon. Okay, so that was the Hive Guard, the Tyrant Guard, Hive Guard. Okay, we'll see them in the models later. And lastly, okay, so the last thing on this manual is the Biovore, as you guys can see here. So you can build it into a Biovore or a Pyrovore. First, difference is that the Biovore shoots spore mine, so the spore mine launcher, and then the flame spurt cannon for the Pyrovore. Okay. Now, honestly, they don't really look that different. They used to look way different. Biovore, of course, came first, but they introduced the Pyrovore in, I think, what was that? 5th edition, something with a metal Pyrovore that was much larger than the Biovore. Biovore was on a 40mm base, and the Pyrovore was on a 60mm base. Now they're both on 80s. Hey, you guys can see the differences are supposedly the Biovore. So the Pyrovore has a different cannon, different gun. It has the squeaky things, those armor plates. Biovore, honestly, I don't notice. The legs are supposed to be different, but I don't notice. Just that looks like the Spore Mine cannon. Just put a Spore Mine beside it. So honestly, doesn't matter that much. Okay. They are slightly different, but honestly, I don't think anyone would really notice. That's the Spore Mine. No, that's the Flame Spurt cannon. And then that's the Spore. Right. That's the Spore Mine launcher, I think. Am I right? Actually not sure. Let's see. Okay, so the Flame Spurt. By the way, the Flame Spurt used to be on gargoyles. Okay, that's what they used to call the guns on the gargoyles. So the Flame Spurt has the crest. So apparently that's the Spore Mine launcher, and that's the Flame Spurt. I see. I don't really mind the difference. Of course, I'm not gonna build them. I hate this kind of Biovore, so I will be putting legs and arms, real hooves and arms on mine. But we'll figure this out anyway. They're cool knees. Now, Spore Mines look like, well, okay. So these are plastic Spore Mines. The first plastic Spore Mines we had were from the Battle for Macragge box set back in 2003-2004, which gave you 3 different Spore Mines back then. So 2nd ed, 3rd ed, you used to have just Spore Mines, and then 4th ed gave us 3 different kinds of Spore Mines, or the Acid Mines, the Frag Mines, and then the Biospray Mines, I think, or something like that. Am I right? Poison Mines, one of those, but now they're just Spore Mines again. So now you just have Spore Mines. Okay. And that's it for the manual. Combat Patrol Tyranid Assault Brood. Okay, so now, wow, how many minutes after? Let's check the bases first. I don't see the Biovore base in here. Is it here? Should be, huh? The Biovore base is probably in the box somewhere. It's not in the box. Okay, so there you go. Did I take it? I might have taken it. No, it's here. There you go. There you go. So first, the Biovore base is an 80 by 80 millimeter, or an 8 by 8 centimeter. You can see. Okay, let's align it. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an 80 millimeter round base. You can see Games Workshop 2017. What was the first thing that used the 80? 2017. Probably one of the Primaris Dreadnoughts or something. Because back then, Biovores were still on 60s and 40s, honestly. Now, you have 3 50mm for the Hive Guard. Games Workshop 2022 for these ones. Wow, that's a new cast. Yeah, they're entirely flat. There are no supporting pegs or anything in these 50s. So these are brand spanking new 50s. 50mm, you can see. There. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 of those. 1 each for the Hive Guards. Okay, now the Genestealers come on the 32. Oh, wait. There's a 40mm. You see, 4x4. That's for the Parasite of Mortrex. Hey, this Parasite is flying, but it doesn't come. GW's been phasing out the flying base, the flying base. The stems they still use, but the bases they don't anymore. So it's on a 40mm base, and then the Genestealers come on 10 of these. Oh wait, 40. So what 40 is this? This is the Games Workshop Limited 2021. This is a 2021 40mm base. Flat, no round stuff, no pegs or anything for metal models, fine cast models or anything like that. Okay, and these are 32mm. 32mm, Games Workshop Limited 2013. Yeah. So I'm assuming that was the first time Space Marines were moved from 25 to 32. I may be mistaken, but there should be 10 of these. Okay. For the Genestealers, 5. And 4, 5. There you go, 5 for the Steelers. And then finally, missing one. There should be 3 of these. There you go. I had a feeling. So, 3 25mm for the Spore mines. These are Games Workshop Limited. What year? 2021. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can see that. This is pretty dark. Yeah, trying to get the reflection of one of the lights. But yeah, these are 2021. So they do feel a little thicker than my other bases. New mold, maybe? Probably. Hey, but yeah, 2021. They feel thicker. The edges are just as thick as the usuals, but they do feel thicker. Okay. Alright, now, how many minutes after? What you guys have been waiting for? The sprues. We will start with the Parasite. Single sprue. Okay. Games Workshop 2022. So I assume that's how young the plastic Parasite of Mortrex model is. This model, this data sheet at least, has been around since somewhere around 5th or 6th edition. I think I do remember scratch building one essentially from parts, Genestealer arms, and let me show you my Parasite. Here, let's grab an old Biovore just to compare the others as well. Here, that's my Parasite. I'll go get some Genestealers. Because if I'm gonna compare them to the old ones, I might as well have them on hand. Now, I don't have any of the original Tyrant Guard or Hive Guard models. Those started out as metal models. The Hive Guard a little bit later. Tyrant Guard started as during 3rd edition. There were metal standing, something that looked like Tyranid Warrior-ish or Broodlord-ish models with shields on their hands, and then the other hand had what did they have? Lash whips, I think, something like that. Okay, before they were turned into these blind things. So, though, prior to that, I just scratch built the Parasite. I will show this in another video, but you can see there's a scratch build using a Genestealer torso, gargoyle metal, original 2nd edition's metal gargoyle wings. Okay, and then I scratch build everything primarily, but you can see there's a tail. The tail he uses to implant the rippers and wings and claws. So we didn't have a Parasite of Mortrex model until 2022, and then he had this guy. So now he's on a 40mm. It's a good thing I put this guy on a 40mm base. No? Yeah, you guys can see the old 40mm base had round pegs so that you could drill and put metal models onto them, but now that GW doesn't use metal, you have your 2021 issue completely flat, completely empty. It uses less plastic too. Okay, but they're both 40mm. This guy is on a 40. straightforward build, very well detailed, but a little monopose, but that shouldn't be a problem. It's easy to put stuff like adrenal glands or toxin sacs as long as you have the bits. And any self-respecting Tyranid player should have a lot of biological bits and stuff. You want to change his claws. Claws look a little lictory over here. So you want to change his, or neurolictory at least. You want to change those claws to arms or something. As long as you have the bits, it'll work. You can see the torso. Yeah, torso fits together, and then there are holes for the arms, so it's easy to convert. Okay, so that's the Parasite. Okay, you stay here. Okay, next up is the, I guess the Biovore is up on top. So, here, the Biovore. Now, I don't have the other Biovore types, but behold the original 2nd edition metal Biovore. It's just mounted on a 60mm large base. No, that's 50, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, so 50 square. Yeah, that's how old I am. I have 50mm square bases. Okay, that you can say, guys, check it out. Yeah, that's Warhammer Fantasy, or no, actually, that's not. That's Warhammer 40k when 40k had square bases back in 3rd ed to 4th to 5th. Okay, so see, it's small. It's pretty small. If you mount it, let's put the Parasite here on the 80mm. That's how small the original Biovore is. I converted it to one of the metal spore mines and I stuck it on. I'll showcase this in a video eventually. But that's how big the original Biovore would be on an 80mm current Biovore base. Okay. Current Biovore, of course. So after that, there are at least 2 to 3 other metal Biovores. They started looking more like orcs. And then the current iteration of the Biovore, brand spanking new for Warhammer 40k 10th edition. Okay. There. It's Games Workshop 2023. Very new sculpt. Comes on 1.5 full sprues or 3 half sprues. And this does contain, one torso bit, one tail. I think it has one head here. So you can just make one head, essentially one body, but you get, and then you get 6 of the crab legs, the scything talon legs, essentially. But you get 2 complete guns. There's the flame spurt, the fat one, right? The flame spurt and the spore mine launcher. So honestly, you can build 2 Biovores if you convert something else to be armed like this, like a Hive guard or something, but we will do that in another video. Anyway, now that's a Biovore / Pyrovore. Okay, the spore mines are larger than, you can see, the old spore mine. Okay, let me grab one of the old spore mines. Older. What's a good spore mine? The new plastic spore mines are large. This is one of the toxin or acids of biomines, I think. From Battle for Macrage. This is a 21-year-old spore mine. It's plastic. That's a metal one over there. But look at the size difference. There is a drastic size difference. The new one is almost twice the size of the old one. But they both come on 25mm base, so it shouldn't matter really. Okay, they're just more awesome looking. Now the tentacles do look a little weird, but probably just because I'm not used to it. But that's the Biovore / Pyrovore. Okay, so let's do the Hive Guard last. No, Hive Guard's next. Genestealers are the ones underneath. I think. Yeah. So this is the Hive Guard. Okay. Hive Guard comes in 3 sprues. These are a little bit older. Games Workshop 2013. You guys can see. Yeah, so that was probably during 6th or 5th edition. 5th edition was Black Reach. So this is probably 6th edition, I think. Okay, 2013 when we had Hive Guard with Impaler Cannons and Shock Cannons, but you had a dual kit. Okay, so you can see this has enough parts to build 3 Hive Guard or Tyrant Guards. You can see pairs. So 1 pair, 2 pairs, and then the 3rd pair of carapaces. And then their corresponding legs are the arms are here. So arms over there. There's the there. That's a leg pair. Okay, each sprue should have a pair of arms. There are the arms. And then that's one of the legs, and then the other leg is somewhere. There we go. That's the other leg. Third guy should have similar. Okay, that's leg, and then arm, and then arm. There, and then each sprue should have enough bits to build scything talons. Okay. So there are 2 scything talons. There are 2 crushing claws per. You can see each sprue has those. These sprues are not identical, by the way. Okay, so scything talon pair, crushing claw pair, impaler cannon half. You can see that's half of the tip of the impaler cannon. So there's a same cannon base. That's the gun. But you either put the tip of the impaler cannon or the shock cannon. That comes in single tip, by the way. And then there's the bone sword or bone cleaver, and the lash whip is here. That's the lash whip. Okay. Then rending claws are there. Actually, there's a Space Marine chest here that looks like Mark 8 armor. So it's these are 2013, so these are pre-Primaris molds. Yeah. Yep, that's about it, I think. Okay, the heads, you just have 3 heads. I think that's an adrenal gland, I think. Where's the head of this one? That's a Space Marine head. There, that's 1 head. 2 heads. And then the 3rd head is over here. Yeah. So, that's the Hive Guard, Tyrant Guard. We'll probably do an in-depth analysis of the sprues eventually in a different video. Finally. Wow. How long is this taking? Yeah. That's because I know a lot about Tyranids. You guys can tell. It's my army. Yeah. The new 2024 or 25 Genestealer kit. So it comes in 3 full sprues. There you go. Games Workshop. Oh, 2023. But these guys released in 24. The sprues were probably made back in 23 and then just released after. Okay, so these are the brand spanking new 2023 10th edition Leviathan era Genestealers. So, trip down memory lane. We'll do this in another video, but this is the original plastic Genestealer. A little bit converted, but not that much. Still in one of my original Hive Fleet colors before I switched to the blue and the bone color. Okay. But yeah, so came on 25mm bases, slot bases. You can see the blue plastic used in the original, one of the original Space Hulk sets. Now, this is a battle for Macragge Genestealer, which has been rebased on a 32 slot base. I'm using a Blood Bowl base actually. You guys can see they're pretty much the same size. They're a little bit bigger. The newer ones are a little bit bigger. Now take a look. The newer ones the BFM ones do not have the extended carapace on the sides. Now, these are the brand spanking new ones. Okay, you can see it's very well organized, very high density. Okay, so you have all 10 bodies on one of the sprues. Okay, and then arms and legs are mixed throughout the other 2 sprues. You should have 10 Genestealers, so you should have 20 arms, claws, and then rending claws. I don't see any scything talons anymore, so that's not an option for Genestealers anymore. And then 10 pairs of legs. But there are still multiple, you can see that Imgarl Stealer heads, and there should be 10 of those, so you can build a full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or else 6, 7, 8, I guess the other 2 are here, 9, 10. So there are 10 tentacled Imgarl Stealer heads. But there are also other heads. So these are the normal Genestealer heads. Seem to be the same size as the BFM ones. A little bit bigger. They're a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. The heads, yes, the heads are bigger. Okay. There, I remember the term implant attack. That's a +1 wound back in the day. Okay, so implant attack is there. In fact, actually, looking at it, it seems like the extended carapace, you put it over the bodies, but we'll do a more in-depth look at this. But extended carapace, you put it over the body, so they may look good without the extended carapace. And then the sprue has other bits, like whatever this mine looks like, and some terrain bits. Okay, but we'll deal with that in another video where we take a look closely at all these other bits. So that's that. Wait, let me fix these. Okay, so Genestealers, Hive Guard, Biovore, and Parasite of Mortrex. This is a very good value combat patrol. If you think about it, way better value than the one it's replacing, which is just the starter set, the ultimate starter set. But anyway, okay, there you go, guys. That was the, as of 2025, new Warhammer 40,000 Tyranid Combat Patrol. That's the special Tyranid Assault Brood Combat Patrol with the Parasite of Mortrex, 10 Genestealers, 3 Hive Guard, a Biovore with 3 Spore Mines. Okay, so there you go, guys. We'll probably talk about the other models in a more detailed fashion in other videos. This is just an unboxing. This has gone actually way longer than the other unboxing videos, but that's because I'm very well versed in Tyranid lore and the models themselves. Okay, so anyway, hope the video helped you guys out. If you guys stuck this long, thanks for watching. Maybe give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you guys like what we do here. This is the OCM Hobbies channel where we do hobby stuff. Our main channel is over at the OC Mallrat where we do events, including gaming events, which may include Warhammer tournaments and other related events. Swing by, check it out, maybe subscribe to that channel as well. And I'll see you guys in my other videos. Check out the videos where we actually go in depth and take a closer look at these models. Hey, so, but for this one, Mallrat out. OC Mallrat out.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you enjoy similar content, consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to help us make more stuff, share the video with your friends and circles. Consider checking out our other channels. We have dedicated channels for hobbies, games, and other stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. OC Mallrat out.
That took a little bit long. Huh? That's because I was getting the model stuff. But yeah, we'll do an in-depth video where I will compare the previous models with the current ones. I have a lot of sprues still unassembled, so we can do. I don't have the Hive guard. I don't have metal Hive guard or metal Tyrant guard. As of now, by the way, as of now. But we can do a deep dive into the Genestealers because I have the original Genestealer plastics and I have the BFM ones and I have the newer non-BFM multi-part one. So we can. I don't have the blood, the Space Hulk ones, but we can probably talk about those as well. Yeah. But anyway. Thanks for watching, guys.